Now, when we look at Cathay as a stock, we are not quite optimistic on Cathay at this point in time because its valuation is still fairly rich and its recovery prospects are fairly dim compared to the peers we see in the region, like the Chinese carriers. So a few key points, I guess. Cathay has no domestic market to fall back on, unlike the Chinese and the US carriers. With a vast domestic market to fall back on, Cathay is completely at the mercy of international border controls because it is entirely reliant on international traffic. Secondly, Cathay is operating a hub and spoke model because Hong Kong has a fairly small population of about 7.5 million people. And this makes Cathay significantly reliant on transit passengers for a substantial portion of its passenger volumes. And this places the airline at a significant disadvantage to airlines operating a point-to-point model with regards to load factors because there are additional complexities we have to consider when we include more countries in the equation. And finally, business travel. So prior to COVID-19, we estimate that about 40 to 45% of passenger revenue was derived from the front end of the plane, meaning its business class and first class tickets. And we all know that this segment has been hit particularly hard by COVID-19, with companies likely to cut back on business travel and be more reliant on video conferencing going forward, which is why we are only expecting Cathay's passenger volumes to reach about 22% of 2019's level in 2021, which is markedly lower than the likes of the Chinese flag carriers at about 70 to 75%.
Which quarter do you see things turning around? Because it can't be a dead end, right? The world is talking about recovery and reopening,
exactly.
And Cathay would benefit from that.
Exactly. So we're starting to see some signs, some green shoots of optimism in the sector. Right now, we're seeing more news feed of countries adopting vaccine passports, and we're also fairly optimistic that travel bubbles can be considered when infection rates coming down. So at this point in time, we're projecting a meaningful turnaround in passenger volumes towards the end of 2021 for Cathay Pacific, but this will not be enough to propel the airline back into the black. At this point in time, we're still anticipating that the airline will remain loss-making until the second half of 2022, when passenger volumes will have picked up meaningfully enough for the airline to become profitable.